The United States of America is by almost any metric the greatest beacon of freedom and liberty in the world. From the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution, to the many accomplishments of the last 200 years that have furthered the ideas established within its founding documents. The United States, by any measure, would be the gold standard to anyone seeking to emulate the opportunities for people to thrive and succeed. For those that find themselves with the honor of being able to call themselves Americans, are undoubtedly privileged when contrasted with the vast portions of the world populace. Yet with all this, we find ourselves in a time where a growing number of American citizens are either denying that the country was ever great,
We're not going to make America great again. It was never that great.
or proclaiming it was evil from the very start. Regardless of the degree of antagonism, these people have become staunchly anti-American. So much so that some of them actively want to destroy the very foundation of America. Everything about America has become decisively problematic for these people. The very symbols that represent the ideas and values of the United States are viewed as instruments of oppression that need to be thrown down. The national anthem, for one, has been lampooned as highly racist and offensive. Some even going so far as to call it anti-black.
It's racist. It doesn't represent our community. It's anti-black people.
Which led to the California NAACP to call for removing the anthem. Even some schools have successfully banned the anthem from school functions, claiming it to be outdated and racially offensive. The Pledge of Allegiance has fared no better, with it being banned from various institutions, such as a California college banning it from boardroom meetings, claiming it has a history of nativism and white nationalism, to the St. Louis Park, Minnesota Council voting to stop reciting the pledge during meetings, with Council member Annie Mavity, who introduced the proposal, stating the pledge wasn't reflective of the city's commitment to diversity. Out of all the American symbolism that has become part of our great nation over the past 200 years, the one piece that these far-left anti-Americans hate the most is the American flag itself. They have gone out of their way to distort, demean, deface, and even destroy the stars and stripes whenever they believe it will suit their agenda. Whether it's claiming the flag as a symbol of white supremacy, to even high schools banning the flag for the sake of inclusivity and protecting the students from being offended, to even flag burning across the country, to it even happening in front of the White House to protest the 4th of July celebration. The flag has become the rallying point to show their disdain for the imagined injustice they proclaim to struggle against. To such an extent that they're not only willing to vandalize Old Glory, but willing to host the flag of a foreign nation in order to drive home their contempt for America. This is perfectly exemplified in the words of Colin Kaepernick in regards to his kneeling during the national anthem. I am not going to stand up to show pride in a flag for a country that oppresses black people and people of color. For a black person to think that the country where he's able to play a game that pays him millions of dollars is oppressing him, or any other countless people of color, is either ignorant of his good fortune or dislikes the country that gives him such opportunities. This is echoed in the recent controversies involving Megan Rapinoe, where in response to her own kneeling says, "I have chosen to kneel because I simply cannot stand for the kind of oppression this country is allowing against its own people." Some of these people will claim that they really do love America and only want to see the country improve. That may be true in a superficial sense, that they want the country in which they live to become better, based on the progressive values they uphold. However, the American values that the U.S. flag embodies is what they're protesting, which is why they have no respect for the flag, because they're convinced it represents white supremacy, racism, and other diatribes. Is it any wonder that Rapinoe didn't give any thought to almost walking all over it to self-aggrandize? Or for Kaepernick to complain about a Betsy Ross flag-themed sneaker because he felt it was an offensive symbol? All of those that subscribe to this kind of thinking are undoubtedly anti-American, because they oppose the very values that define what America is. However, this does beg the question, what is it to be an American when so many seek to dismantle what it stands for? I would postulate that we now live in a time where there are two types of Americans. While there are certainly varying degrees between these types, I want to try and boil it down to two opposing sides. The first type I will call patriotic Americans. These Americans believe in and advocate for what the United States represents. They uphold its founding documents and what it sought to achieve, not dismissing the troubles we've had in the past, but looking at what we've achieved in order to arrive where we are now. These Americans proudly support our patriotic symbols, while wanting the country to remain a beacon of hope and freedom for the world, welcoming anyone that wants to share in these values regardless of who they may be. So either by birth or immigration, they proudly defend the conscience of America. Then there's the other type, which I will call globalist Americans. This type calls themselves Americans simply based on the fact that they live within the country. Whether by birth or by immigration, these types of Americans have no particular love for the country or its values, either due to upbringing from their parents or the community they find themselves in, or by immigrating to the country and bringing their foreign culture with them, not seeking to assimilate into American culture but merely live within its borders, thus taking advantage of its prosperity while continuing to propagate the culture they left behind. They see themselves more as citizens of the world over that of a single country. These types of Americans can easily become anti-American when exposed to the far left's progressive dogma in regards to their belief that America is evil, because they have no strong ties to the country other than the fact that they live within it.
America was never great! America was never great! America was never great! Humanity first! Humanity first!
This is the exact type of mentality you see from the Squad, consisting of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Ilhan Omar, Ayanna Pressley, and Rashida Tlaib. All of them have expressed clear anti-American rhetoric, from supporting socialism, condemning capitalism.
Capitalism isn't, to me, it's an ideology of capital. That ideology is not sustainable and cannot be redeemed.
Calling for the abolishment of ICE while also calling them Nazis. To doing everything they can to keep the nation's borders unsecured while they're also calling detention centers they failed to support as concentration camps.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border.
Rashida Tlaib was filmed during her Election Day celebration being wrapped in a Palestinian flag. Ilhan Omar has said things like, Americans should be more fearful of white men than jihad terrorists.
Our country should be more fearful of white men across our country.
As well as saying, this is not going to be the country of white people in reference to America.
This is not going to be the country of white people.
Which you have to understand, when these people refer to white men or white people, they aren't necessarily referring to race, but rather the ideology they associate with white people. That ideology primarily being the one that America and its flag stand for. While the Squad is an extreme example of globalist Americans that find most of their motivation in the opposition of the founding principles of the United States, other forms of globalist Americans that have fallen into anti-American fervor can be found in Antifa, radical feminism, Black Lives Matter, and other far-left groups, who have all expressed no love for the country as they protest against the very foundations of the nation, calling for drastic changes that could alter the very authority of the nation, from removing the Electoral College.
But how do we fix that?
Well, I'm in the process now of writing an article that says there's a simple solution to it. We have to just abolish the Electoral College. It's not
doing away with borders in order to facilitate mass immigration, government-controlled health care, to all manner of socialist policies. These people openly walk down the streets of our country with rainbow flags, Antifa flags, and even communist flags, chanting such things as no Trump, no wall, no USA at all.
No Trump, no wall, no USA at all!
This anti-American progressive surge has ultimately been amplified and revealed due to the election of Donald Trump. His American First attitude has provoked the scorn of the far-left anti-American types who can't fathom anyone would dare elevate the U.S. over the rest of the world, as their globalist mindset sees America and most of the Western world as the oppressor over the non-white marginalized populations of the world. They will use whatever means at their disposal to resist the advancement of American exceptionalism, proudly displaying their anti-American propaganda while continuing to benefit from the very freedoms and principles America affords them, appearing to be utterly oblivious of the fact that if it weren't for America and the freedoms it upholds, they wouldn't have the privilege to be anti-American in the first place. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. You can also check out my political posts over on my Minds page. Link in the description, of course. This video and hopefully others will be based on my content there. So until next time, my friends, and God bless.